That's right. Our next conversation centers around a tweet which was put out apparently months back, the publisher of the tweet, and what has happened afterwards. It's a conversation that is now a major one in the country, just from one tweet. And we're going to be going deeper into that this morning. We're joined, as you've seen, by Dr. Monday Ubani, who is Chairman, Section of Public Interest and Development Law, SPIDEL. He joins us virtually this morning from Lagos. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program. I know there's been lots of takes on this particular one, but, I mean, being a legal practitioner, having at least some sort of information, can you tell us what exactly it is you know, you have found out about the case of Aminu Mohammed?
It started as a rumor. And then what we did under SPIDEL is to send one of our committed members in Abuja to find out actually what has transpired. And he came out with a very comprehensive report. According to him, what happened was that on 18th of November, a student named Aminu, who happens to be a 500 level student in the Federal University in Duse, was sort of abducted by security agents who came in a red Corolla Toyota. He was still wearing his jalabia, meaning that he was still probably in his morning dress. He has not been properly attired. And so they took him, and then he called a day after, 19th of November, to one of the students in the university to say that he was arrested and taken to a place called Bauchi State, and that he will explain what happened to him later when he resumes back. But unfortunately, no word was heard from him until 28, when a newspaper broke out the story that the student was arrested at the instance of the wife of the president. Police came out initially to deny that they didn't have such knowledge of such an incident, and nobody of such name was in their custody. DSS did. But eventually turned out to be that it was police, who happens to be the security aide of the wife of the president that actually effected the arrest. The story is that he was brought before the president's wife, and then was tortured and humiliated, and then taken to custody. So people started now to write, including SPIDEL and other bodies started to raise alarm about the arrest and how illegal it was. And what was the story is that the president was accusing the young man of alleging that she's feeding fat on the people's money, that she has actually added some flesh, which she considered to be maybe cyber stalking or cyber bullying. So we started to raise the issue that if he has committed any offense, he should be charged to court and not been kept in an indefinite detention. More so when the story is that he has not been allowed access to any lawyer or to his relations. And so the report now had it that yesterday he was secretly arraigned. And now we don't know what transpired. We don't know whether he has now been cowed to plead guilty because he's now in a correctional center in Suleja. We don't know whether he was actually granted bail and he was unable to perform the conditions of the bail. There are two possible things that must have happened why he has been taken now to correctional center. Either he has been granted bail, but since he doesn't have any relation to fulfill the conditions of the bail, that's why they have kept him in correctional center. Or he may have been cajoled to plead guilty, in which case they would have engaged in summary trial and then sentenced him. So that fact will be unveiled today because we have commissioned somebody to find out the true situation from the correctional center.
Right. So, Dr. Ubani, I'd like us to, lay the issues bare and stick to the facts, because there's so much, as I said, angles to this. There's been so much, rumors, reports here and there, and at least we can lean on you for the facts, the verifiable facts. So the story that he was, taken, you said on November the 18th, that has been verified, that he's been held for now weeks now. But the point where you said that, the story about him being tortured in the presence of the wife of the president, is that verified? Is that just one of the stories out there, some angles to it, or it is indeed verified? Because we need to ensure that we put out the truth out here this morning.
Yeah, you're very correct. So what we did was to find out from the nuns. Some officials of the nuns had access to the young man while in detention and interviewed him, and he confirmed to them that he was tortured. And if you read the story of Nance, they also had to, plead with the vice president to be a mother and release the young man. And then at the same time insist that they had no reason whatsoever to have violated his right. Now, as I said earlier, not much has been heard from the young man because they didn't allow the relations of the young man to have access to him. Now that he is in correctional center, we get the full facts of what transpired because we have asked somebody to go to the correctional center, have access to him and interview and know what has actually happened. Has he been properly sentenced now, or is it that they have arraigned him and only granted bail, but he was unable to fulfill the conditions of the bail? And that is the reason why he's in correctional center. Let's get this fact straight. The point is that the truth out there is that he was tortured, he was beaten up, and you know how our security, agents, behave in this country. When it comes to issue of offending those they consider to be public officers, they tend to lean towards them, not giving regard to the rights of citizens in the country. They feel that, they owe that responsibility to make sure that they protect. If not, why would the young man be arrested in the first place? What is the issue? That, the president's wife is alleged to have have added flesh. Is that what will make a president's wife to be angry? Why is this young man arrested? If it's not in a country like this, it can't happen anywhere in the world apart from Nigeria. You are arresting him for what offense? What offense has he committed? A harmless student who tweeted that the president's wife is feeling fat. That's the reason why you went and picked him and took him to Bauchi, from there to the president's wife presence and all that. To me, that is absolute, in bad faith.
And as you said, right, as you said, those facts, or at least those reports, have not been verified yet, especially the one linking him or linking the wife of the president to being the person who gave that order, or at least him being tortured in her presence. Is that verified or not? I just want to...
No. What happened is that, the newspaper is replete with the story of that as instance of the president's wife. I think she has not denied that story, that the young man has been arrested because of the fact that he tweeted. That has not been denied. What we want, as I said earlier, is that the full facts of this case, I hope they will allow access.
Right.
Is for the young man to be interviewed, in order to get the full fact of what transpired.
Right.
But the fact we know is that he has been arrested. He was taken to Bauchi. The story also linked, even another aide of the president's wife, Zainab Kazim, that was also arrested alongside, but that one has been released.
Right.
The lady has been released, but this young man was not released. So these are things that we get the full facts today. But the truth of the matter is that a young man is arrested who happens to be a 500 level student of Federal University, Duse. And that arrest was as the instance of the president's wife. As I said earlier, that has not been denied. And that yesterday he was secretly arraigned, and he's now in correctional center. That again has not been denied. Whether he has been now sentenced or whether he was granted bail but unable to fulfill the condition of the bail is what we get the full fact today. But
and it's important.
Somebody was arrested. Yes, right. Somebody is arrested because the president felt offended. Yes, President wife felt offended. Yes.
And it's important to also ensure that we hear his side of the story, as you have said. But you have seen that tweet. Yes, it wasn't in English, but there's a translation out there. Reading that tweet, putting it in different contexts as you may. Lawyers would always do that. But more importantly, the interpretation of the law that, regulates use of social media, regulates freedom of speech or otherwise and all of that. Did you see anything untoward regarding that tweet, looking at the laws that, of course, have to relate with the use of social media and all of that?
The people who occupy public office must be very tolerant, because the issue of maybe somebody jabbing at you or criticizing you will always be there. It happens all over the world, where people who occupy either their relations or people who occupy public office, people will always, say certain things about you. The former president's wife, Mrs. Jonathan, was almost, it goes viral every time. She was called names, all manner of names. We never heard a situation where she ordered security agents to go and arrest any person. So when you're occupying public, I am not even a public officer, but I open my Facebook at times, I see people criticizing, oh, Ubani, you are the one who brought us into the mess we are in today. You are part of the people who canvassed and cajoled and advocated. I'm being called names every day. And it wouldn't make me to go and begin to order, police to go and arrest somebody, because you're a public officer. The moment you are there, you have to be a bit tolerant. If you don't have level of tolerance, you begin to arrest everyone, because immediately they criticize you. The next thing that you send police or DSS to go and arrest them. So I think that what has been said that the president's wife has added some flesh. You know, if you look at the woman when she came, she was looking slimmer. But today she has added flesh, actually. And that is the truth. She has added flesh. And we can't pinpoint anywhere she's working for these 8 years, 7 years. She's a wife of the president. So if the young man says so, and you feel offended if you have been cyberstalked or bullied, you can ask police to invite him and let him be interrogated in a very civilized manner if you feel offended, but not the manner in which he was abducted and then taken to custody and then no access to lawyer, no access to relation, and the next thing that you have arraigned him, we don't even know the condition of the arraignment, we don't even know what has happened, thereafter. So I don't think it's proper. We cannot in any way use a sledgehammer to kill a fly. A young student, criticizing the president's wife should now attract the president's wife to be interested and then getting the young man arrested. To me, that is going to extreme. I have absolute faith and love for this woman, especially when in her initial statement, she was always trying to cite the masses. But this particular act of hers, I condemn it unequivocally, and I say it is absolutely wrong. She has to release their young man. That is the only way we can forgive Mrs. Aisha Buhari. Let this young man come out of, detention and ask to go back to school, because starting the exam, I heard, on Monday. Exam is resuming on Monday. If this young man stays in prison and do not take his exam on Monday, Nigerians will be very sad and very, very angry against the president's wife. And I want her, she's on her way out of office. Let she lay a good example by releasing that young man so that he can go back and take his exam on Monday. Then that wife will regard her as a good mother, as a good wife of the president, and we will begin to love her the way we used to love her. That's my plea.
Well, Mr. Ubani, it appears as though his lawyer, I think a certain Mr. C.K. Agu, says that I think he's somewhere in Suleja prison at the moment, having been there, and now he's in that facility. One wonders, so in terms of what his offense is, because we haven't seen any charge that's been leveled before him, so we're trying to understand what part of the law could he have breached now. You mentioned in passing possibility of what, cyberstalking or cyberbullying. Could those stand in the face of the law?
That is the point. We have the Cybercrime Act. I think that law was enacted some time ago, and it has provision for issue of cyberstalking when a public office or any individual can be cyberstalked. And it's an offense under that particular act. But it's an offense also that you have a right of a defense. You have a right to defend whether you are cyberstalking or cyberbullying that individual. There is a crime that is prescribed under the act. So it does exist. Now, whether what the young man has posted qualifies as cyberstalking or cyberbullying is a matter of evidence. It's a matter of the prosecution now laying the evidence of what has happened in this instance, and then allowing the individual himself to have a defense, especially access to a lawyer for legal representation is very key. It's a constitutional requirement. I don't know what all that happened. The lawyer himself you mentioned now, was he in court when this particular charge was read? What happened? Did he plead guilty, or was it that he was granted bail and he did not fulfill the condition of the now leading to him being in a correctional center? So as these are issues, so cyberbullying and cyberstalking is actually an offense under the Cyber Crime Act, a law that was enacted under the last administration. Yes, it's a criminal offense.
All right, we have to go at this point, so I have to, as much as possible, try and independently verify some of those narratives that are being circulated. But Mr. Monday Ubani, Chairman Speedel, thank you very much indeed for your perspective this morning.